Hi everyone, my name is Rida and I'll be talking about getting into engineering slash aviation. I won't be going into much of the prerequisites or the application details as I feel like you can find most of this information online on the university's website. And I feel like a lot of other speakers have already touched upon how to get into universities in the UAE. So I'm just going to try and keep it very general and give you a basic overview. So, I graduated from a degree in electrical and electronics engineering from Heriott-Watt University in 2014. The reason why I chose this degree was because I knew that I loved sciences and I knew I loved problem solving. I knew that being creative and marketing or finance and stuff like that was not my forte, and as in it did not interest me trying to brainstorm and come up with like design stuff and processes for marketing campaigns, and that was just, I knew I couldn't see myself doing that in the future. So I my favorite subject actually was biology, but at that time in 2010 when I was joining university, it not did not have much scope. The only other option available for me was medicine, and I wasn't interested in that either. So I ended up choosing electrical and electronics engineering because it's very versatile. I feel like the curriculum offers you so much, such a base to like go into any different direction from there. So if you are someone like me who wasn't really sure what exactly to do, but you knew that you liked sciences and you wanted to go into engineering, I feel like electrical and electronics is a perfect base for that. You need it in aviation, you need it in construction. If you want to work at DY, you can do that through an electrical and electronics engineering degree. You can work at Apple. And let's say you realize, okay, I don't really like the electrical component of my degree, but I really enjoyed the electronics bit of it. You can you can delve from there and then divert towards maybe, let's say, computer science, because that's what happened with me. While I was doing my degree, I realized I really really liked coding and I really liked programming. So I took that and then I ran from there, for my future career. So it is a very versatile degree. Why did I choose Heriot-Watt? Number one, while I was in my high school, we would have exams almost every single day. And what that would do was they would quiz us on everything that we had learned the previous week. So that was our school's way of making sure that everything was, fresh in our minds so that we would be revising for everything. But having done that my entire high school career, I found that extremely overwhelming, and I was kind of tired of that. So the UK based system is more lecture based, and they do have assignments, they do have quizzes, but they're far and few, and most of your grade is focused on your final exams. So almost 70% of your grade is based on that. So it all depends on what type of student you are. If you like structure, if you want the university telling you when and how to study, then maybe a UK based system is not good for you. If you feel like, you're always leaving everything for the last minute or you're procrastinating and it might hurt your grades, then maybe you shouldn't go for this. But if you feel like, yeah, you are very good at organizing yourself and you know how to pace yourself out and you don't want to be, you know just studying for quizzes every single day and just study at your own pace, then maybe a UK system based system is better for you. So that's something you should focus on when you're looking at what university you're going to be choosing in the future. You had opportunities to move between international campuses. So was fully committed that after my second year, I would do my third and fourth year in Heriot-Watt, Edinburgh. I never ended up using that opportunity, but a lot of other students did, and they did it seamlessly. So it wasn't very much of a um, issue. One of the other things that this did was it made you it kind of gave you that confidence that there is a correlation between whatever is being taught in Edinburgh and Dubai. So your degree is not less than, even if you study within Dubai, it's basically the same thing. And because the students get interchanged so easily, you know that it's you're going to have the same value. Heriott-Watt is KHDA approved and approved by the Royal Charter in the UK. I got my degrees attested and I never had any issues. Even for when I applied for jobs, I had no issues with that. In fact, if you want to work in Canada, you need to get your degrees, get the equivalency done for them. So basically, what your degree would be equivalent to if you would have studied in a university in Canada. And I did that through WES, which is World Education Services. And basically, my degree was exactly equivalent to whatever kids study in Canada. So I never had any issues with my accreditation. Another thing that wasn't I did not use, but a lot of other people did, was something called the degree entry program. So let's say that you feel like maybe you dropped physics in grade 9 or grade 10, and now suddenly you're realizing, oh, hey, engineering sounds really cool, and I would like to um, go into engineering, but I don't have the grades, or I don't have the subjects, or whatever it is, you're not meeting the entry requirements. You can do a foundation year at Heriott-Watt. No matter what degree you want to go into, it's not just for engineering. But if maybe your grades were low, maybe you did not meet the required grades, so you can always do a degree entry program. This can work in two ways. You might have to add on an extra year, which means that you'll have to do an extra year at Heriott-Watt as your foundation, and then you go into first year, second year, third year, fourth year. So total, you'll end up doing 5 years. But in some cases, let's say if your grades for some subjects were really good but bad for other subjects, maybe then you don't need to do it for the entire year. Maybe you'll just have to sit through one semester of summer school prior to joining the university, so that you can match up all the pre-requirements, and then you can, once September rolls around, you can join in first year. So it is flexible. You Options are not closed off like as you think. They're having their open day on March 26th between 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So if you're actually interested in Heriott-Watt, even if it's not for this specific degree, I think you guys should really go and check them out, because open days are literally geared at new students and everyone's there to answer questions. And it would be very useful to go talk to student volunteers and students who are actually studying over there, because I think they'll give you a more realistic picture of what the university is like, rather than if you go speak to admission officers or to professors. So it's a very good opportunity to actually gauge what the university is like. So ways to get into aviation. After I graduated from um, Heriott-Watt from with my degree in electrical and electronics engineering, I went and I started working for Emirates Airlines, specifically their engineering sector. So now the first way to get into aviation is to go through aviation universities. So what that means is that you can go to Emirates Aviation University, or you can go to, let's say, Embry-Riddle, which is in Florida, or Daytona. But I would suggest that if you want to do something that's very specific to aviation, let's say you want to be a pilot or you want to be a design engineer, so those degrees are very specific. So yes, for that, if that's your path, then you definitely need to go for aviation universities. And a plus point for aviation universities is that they give you on the job training, or OJT. What that basically means is during the summer or towards the end of your degree, they'll find you a placement in one of the airlines, whether it's Air Arabia or it's Emirates Aviation University, and you can actually go work on the aircraft and fill up your logbook with experiences, which a licensed aircraft engineering engineer will sign on your behalf, saying that yes, this person did these tasks on the aircraft with us. They have experience for this. And logbook experience is very necessary if you want to work on the aircraft and you want to become licensed in the future. But the thing to note is that OJTs are mostly 95% paid. So, paid in the sense that you have to pay to go and do the OJT. So, that's something to think about. Third point is that aviation universities don't guarantee that you'll get a placement in an airline or in aviation section once you graduate. So, working in Emirates, there are a lot of graduates from Emirates Aviation University, but I mean, maybe on a yearly basis, maybe we'll get 3 or 4 hires from there. And during the pandemic, we had 0 hires. So the past 3 years, we didn't even hire anyone from the university. But all 3 years, there were students who were graduating from the university. So I think if you are interested in Emirates Aviation University specifically because you think it will increase your chances of getting a job in Emirates, I think you should definitely seek out someone who has actually graduated from the university and see if that was the case. And also ask the university what their employment rate at Emirates actually is. What are the numbers? Ask them to give you the facts and the figures. The second way of getting into aviation is the way I got in, which is that I had an engineering degree. So, if you have an engineering degree, you can enter support services. So, what that means is I did not directly work on the aircraft, but I did do everything around it. So that involves maybe planning, that involves aircraft scheduling, that involves quality insurance, that involves a department which is called engineering technical services, which basically plan all the tasks that need to be done on the aircraft. So there is a lot of technical sides to it, but that does not necessarily mean that you will be working on the aircraft. So if you have an engineering degree, getting into the support services is an easy thing to do. But let's say you really do want to work on the aircraft. If you have an engineering degree, you can join any airline or any maintenance repair organization as a technician. And then within the UAE, we have GCAA, which is the General Civil Aviation Authority. And then you can get there, you can pass the written exams. They're like 12 modules. And once you're done with the theoretical exams combined with the OJT, so the basically the logbook experience that I previously mentioned, um, combined with that. So you need, I think, like a year or 2 years worth of training, like actually physically working on the aircraft. Once you have that combined with that, then you can become a licensed aircraft engineer. So that's another way of getting a job in the aviation sector. Some questions that I suggest you ask universities before joining is that what financial assistance or scholarships are you eligible for? Trust me when I say that universities in the UAE are really looking to hire you. Sorry, recruit you and for you to join them more than you are to join them, because it's a very competitive market. So they'll try and offer you whatever they can. So even if you feel like, oh, I didn't do that well, or I wasn't the top of my class in school, still ask. There is always going to be a scholarship you're going to be eligible for. When I was applying for my master's in Emirates Aviation University, they literally gave me 30% off just because I asked. So it's it's much easier than you think it is. So there's no harm in asking, and they'll always have something. Secondly, ask them about internship opportunities and because you're going to be at that university for almost 4 years. You have plenty of time during the summer to get placements, to get work experience, and that actually really helps your employability. So ask them if they have a careers department and how do they help their students get internship opportunities. um, Talk to students who are already either fresh graduates or students who are actually studying at the university. Like I mentioned before, I feel like they'll give you the most realistic idea of what the university is like, if the curriculum is any good, and what their regrets are, or what they hate, or what they don't like about the university, and if the program that they're doing is worth it or not. If elective courses are something that interests you, definitely ask them about those. Maybe, or if the university might have a strict rigid program, or do they offer you opportunities to basically specialize in certain things or areas of your interest? Uh, Universities love to brag about where their students work, but one thing they always fail to mention is that most of the time those students got those jobs simply based on their own connections, their own luck, their own experience, their own hard work. So, what you need to ask universities is what are they doing to get you job placements and to get you interviews? Because it's all good, like to say that, oh, yeah, our students work at this so and so company and these top five companies and stuff like that. But then, how many were placed there by the university? How many were placed there because of the university's connections? So get that information as well. um I think it's really, really important to have extracurricular activities. I mean, choosing a university, obviously, the number one priority is for the programs that they offer, but it's also a good thing to note about how much they spend in their students, like well being in other societies. Do they have an engineering society? Do they have a drama club? Maybe you like writing. Do they have a newspaper? So, I mean, I think that is also a very important part of universities. This is something that does not really affect me, but I know that there are a lot of people who require a different sort of attention when they're learning. They need to ask a lot of questions, or they need a smaller class size because they need that one on one connection with the professor. So, usually, if the class size is huge, that's going to be difficult because you might not be able to grasp the concepts, or ask the professor as many questions as you'd like. So if that's something that is important to you, definitely ask them about this as well. So I'm just gonna give you a career roadmap of like what electrical and electronics engineering opened up for me. Was I did a lot of internships. Basically, I took any and every opportunity that came towards me, even if it was not related to engineering. And I think because I tried so many things, I was able to actually find what I liked. So I worked at Ulster Cal in their machineries division, but mostly they did a lot of facilities management. Excuse me. They did a lot of facilities management as well, and that's not even related to engineering, but I still took it. I was a teaching assistant, so I conducted some labs for first year students while I was a fourth year student over there. And I did the OJT at Emirates as well. At that time, I had no interest in aviation at all, but I still went and tried it out anyway, and I ended up liking it. So then, fast forward, I joined Emirates. I worked as a production planner. I worked as a quality assurance auditor. I worked as a material planner. And now I actually moved to the automotive industry, where from material planning, I went into demand planning. So now I'm completely in supply chain planning. But my background in engineering really helped me work in these sectors, even if it was not exactly what my degree was meant for. I took what I liked about it and I worked there. So through all of this, my major thing that I worked on is a lot of reporting and basically data analytics. So I do a lot of programming, I do a lot of data analytics in all of these jobs, and I know that's what I like. So you might not know exactly what you like from the beginning, but the more you try and the more things you do, you'll realize, okay, like this is actually the direction I want to be going into. So, what are my key takeaway and tips? Number one, pick what you're interested in. So, like I said in the beginning, I wasn't 100% sold on electrical and electronics engineering. It's not like I hated it, but it wasn't something like I like absolutely loved, or I knew from a very young age that that's what I wanted to do. But I knew that I was interested in this. You guys are going to be graduating in an environment that is highly competitive. There is a very, very large surge in the available workforce. We don't have time to be doing things that we don't enjoy, or that we're not interested in, or that we don't love. Because if you don't love something, if you're not interested in it, if you're not enjoying what you do, you're not going to excel in it. And if you're not going to excel in it, you won't be able to compete in the extremely competitive market that is out there. Like, I don't want to be worrying you guys, but then this is what university is for, is to be securing your future. It's okay to not know what you want to do, but you need to have the general idea of which direction you want to be going into. Don't get into medicine, don't get into finance if you don't even like it. Even if you like something that's related to arts, that's not engineering, go for that, but do something that you like. What I mean by input is proportional to output is that every university is basically, you will have to do the work. If you want to cruise through it, if you just want to pass your assignments, if you just want to graduate, that will happen. But if you truly want to learn, you will have to put in the extra work. This is not going to be like high school. This, you're not going to be given, everything's not going to be handed to you. You're really going to have to do a lot of research on your own. There are going to be a lot of people around to help you, don't get me wrong. But you have to be willing to do the work and ask the questions, because if you don't, it's very easy to graduate, and it's very easy to graduate with a like high grades and actually not have any idea of what you actually learned and or studied. So something I mentioned before is that universities in the UAE, at least I'll speak from experience, are very competitive. They really want to get your money. Okay, they really want you to join, so shop around and vet your options. Like, as much as they want to be like, oh, we're exclusive, and you need to have this and this to join us, you should be vetting them in the same way. You're going to be spending a lot of money, a lot of your time, a lot of your future into these institutions, so you should know that, I mean, you should really want to go there. Like mentioned before as well, if you have low grades, if you have if you think you might not be meeting the requirements, it's not the end of the world. What I mean by seeking out standardized tests is, let's say your physics grades are not that good, but you work really, really hard and you go and take an AP physics exam, or you go and do really well in your physics A levels. That can really increase your opportunities into getting into the university that you want to get into. Or you can always opt for foundation programs, which I mentioned before. um, Try everything, because eventually you will find something you love. So take any opportunities that thrown at you, take all the work experiences that you can, because that will help you find what you actually love and what you want to do with your future. And there's always a discount, there's always a scholarship. Like, when I joined Heriott-Watt, I actually got two scholarships. I got a scholarship for my grade, and I got a scholarship because I used to do sports. So I got two scholarships. And I wasn't, to be very honest, I wasn't like a star athlete. I just did gymnastics while I was in school. So just based off of that, they were willing to apply that discount or give me that scholarship, basically. Some universities also offer you discounts if you pay in one check, like if you pay the amount in one go. They also do give you financial aid. Like, there are a lot of options available. If sometimes they even give you discounts because your sibling goes there. So I mean, you just have to ask. You definitely have to ask and try to tell them, like, this is my budget, this is what I can work around, like, how can you help me? There are other ways to mitigate the expenses, and especially when I was younger, when I was in uni, we could only work at JITEX or exhibitions or events. But now, since students are allowed to work on a student visa, you can literally, like, I went to on indeed.ae, and I was able to find jobs at Starbucks for a barista, and it was for part-time, and it literally said you need to be either on a student visa or to work there. So you can do a lot of tutoring. You can even do tutoring. Like, there are tutoring companies that will hire you on a part-time basis. If you don't know where to start, if you can't find someone to tutor one-on-one, as in on your own as a freelancer, you can work for companies. And all of these are available. Like, I put them down in my resources. So you can search for them on Indeed, or there's another website called Olive, and they are basically geared at fresh graduates and students. So they kind of help you find internship opportunities as well. So there are a lot of part-time job options available. One thing I'll say is the application process can get very overwhelming. So get an Excel sheet, put down whatever universities are, you're aiming for, write down the pros and cons, write down what the requirements are for each. Stay on top of things like as you're going. It can get very overwhelming, but if you have everything written down, it will help you a lot. And ask as many questions as you want to, even if you think it's a stupid question. That's what their universities admission officers are there for. If you have to ask questions 10 times, do it. Like, this is your future. Don't feel like, you know I mean, even if you want to know, like, okay, like, even if you really want to go to university, but you feel like, okay, you might not fit that criteria, go ask. Like, there's literally no harm in asking. Ask them, what can you do to bridge the gap? Maybe right now you're in grade 11, you still have a year left to go to graduate. So you can start actively reaching out to your, you know, future universities that you want to go to and ask them, hey, listen, this is where I'm at right now. How do I get to a point where I can easily get accepted into this university? Or if you have any questions about TOEFL, maybe you want to know, do they want the TOEFL results mailed to them directly from the institute? Or, if you can't find any information online, it doesn't matter. Always ask the questions. Like, ask whatever you have to. Um, One very important point I would say, especially if you're in a technical degree, is your professors have a very big network of ex students, and those students will be working in really, really good companies. So I think it's very important to keep a very good connection with your professors, because in the future, once you've graduated and once you're looking for a job, they can actually connect you and they can put you in touch with their students. I know so many kids who graduated from Heriott-Watt who got jobs in really, really nice companies because they had a good repertoire with the professors, and the professors got in touch with students who they had, like their previous students who had career opportunities to give to the fresh graduates. So I think that's something that people don't really talk about, and depend heavily on career advisors. So that you start building your network from day one when you graduate. I mean, from when you join university, I mean. Um, so these are some of the resources, and since I'm not here in the live session and this is a pre-recorded presentation, you can reach out to me at my email address, which is rida_shahid@hotmail.com. If you have any queries, I would love to answer them. I hope that this presentation was helpful, and yes, looking forward to hearing from you guys.